you ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon. Okay, so I'm super excited about this week's edition of the Roundtable Talk. This next performer, okay, maybe I'm like this much jealous because he may have better hair than me. He may also be 23, and he may also sound like an angel. He's got the most beautiful voice, such beautiful stage presence from PBS to his albums to touring. He's toured now with everybody, and he's a good little paisan like me. Now, look, I'm Robert Bannon, but my mom's a DiMeglio, so I know this. I know this guy. Chris Ruggiero is here, and I'm so excited to talk to him. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hi, Robert. I'm glad that you mentioned that you were Italian as well, and it's funny your mother's last name, DiMeglio, is a lot of people in my family. They also have the same last name, so maybe we're related somehow.
Chris, we could be cousins.
We could be long lost cousins.
My grandfather came from Ischia, a little island off of Naples, and my mother, Rose Antonia DiMeglio, met this little Irish guy, and here I am.
We'll definitely have to talk about that after, because we might be cousins.
Look, it's the blonde hair, it's the eyes, it's the whole thing.
That's right.
Be careful, Chris. If you don't take care of your skin, you're gonna look like this when you get older. That's it.
Well, now that I live in Florida, I don't know. I might be out of luck with the sun here.
Chris, where are you originally from?
I'm from New York. I'm from Westchester, New York, and although I live in Florida now, I spend lots of time in New York still and travel all over the place performing my show.
Absolutely. So let's talk about music. I'm assuming that you grew up in a household of music and that your journey to discovering music and this love of the music that you sing has to come from someone in your family. Would you like to tell us a little about it?
Well, you know, what's kind of different about me is most singers, they start out really, really young, you know, liking music, you know, maybe 8 years old or even younger than that. But for me, it wasn't until I was 12 years old when I discovered my love for music, which I got from my mother originally and my grandfather. I mean, when I was little, my mom was playing music in the house all day long, and she still does play music, songs from the 50s, 60s, 70s. So I grew up listening to Frank Sinatra, and I grew up listening to Michael Jackson and basically everything. But it really wasn't until my grandfather introduced me to the music of the 50s and 60s that I really came to absolutely love music. And it was then that I just fell in love with that type of music.
I love that story. I can remember the first time for me, you talk about being in the back seat of a car. I read a little bit about it and hearing.
Yes.
But if you ask I have one brother. If you ask my brother, my father used to go to love car shows. So I learned about this music by, you know, we'd be walking up and down the rows of car shows and you'd hear like Ooga Chaka, Ooga. And I'd be like, what is this music? And it was all this doo wop music of the 50s. It's ingrained and stuck in your head.
That's so
it's true. It's what about the music for you? I know for me, like you don't find songs with arrangements and melodies like they made back then. What about these songs are what makes you want to sing them? What is the draw of you?
You know, I mean, you said it, the arrangements and the melodies, but it's not just the arrangements and the melodies that were so great. For me, it's mostly the story that these songs are telling. I mean, a lot of these songs that I love are about love, falling in love, being in love, and wanting to be in love. And for me, that's something really special. And it's got a sentimentality to it. And it's something that I think is timeless and never really goes out of style. You know, so I think that's why these songs have really stood the test of time from the 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s and so on. And they're still relevant today. Songs like I Only Have Eyes for You. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're 20 or if you're 80. You know that song. You've heard it in movies, commercials, from your grandparents, whatever. You know that song. Songs like Can't Take My Eyes Off You, Unchained Melody. And so that's the kind of music that I really love. Songs that hold a special place in people's hearts, you know, and it takes them back to maybe their first kiss or their wedding dance, just the stuff that brings back great memories, you know?
Absolutely. And you have become one of the newest gatekeepers really to this legacy, and people are loving your renditions of this. And I want to talk to you in particularly about how you approach these arrangements, because it can be tricky. But before I ask you that, how did this happen? How did at 23 You're touring across the country. You have albums out. When was the moment you decided I'm going to become a professional entertainer and take this path? How did it kind of forge ahead?
Well, it's funny you ask. The day that I decided to be a professional entertainer was the last day before the whole country shut down for a year and a half before the virus. So even though I couldn't do any live shows for a year and a half, really, it was kind of a blessing in disguise because I got to spend time that I never would have had. Time with my manager, who taught me so much about song interpretation, how to take a song and look at the lyrics and make the song your own. You know, when I first started singing, you know, just fooling around, I was trying to mimic singers that I loved. So, and that's basically what all singers do when they first start. They mimic singers that they like. But as you move on, you have to kind of find your own voice. And my manager, Joe, encouraged me to do that. He taught me how to take a song and look at the lyrics and turn the song into my own and tell my own story through the song. So that's when I really found my own voice. And that was why I came out with my album called I Am Chris Ruggiero. And the reason it's called I Am Chris Ruggiero is because it's no longer that period of me trying to sound like other artists I liked. It's me being myself and putting my own interpretation on these songs.
Well, here are the albums.
Wow, look, you're fast.
I try. And if you want to find tour dates and you want to listen to the albums, you want to order a copy of the album, make sure you go to chrisruggerosings.com. And I want to just make sure, because there's you have now a bunch of albums, you have new singles coming out. We're gonna get to as much of it. We're gonna get to all of it.
Okay, all right.
So, but I just wanted to get that out there while you're watching now. Make sure you go on the website or stream the music wherever music's heard. So my question to you is, how does PBS come calling? How do you, TJ, those specials, the Doo Wop specials that are aired and air, have become so iconic for that station. I love them. How did the call come, and how did you become a part of that family?
Well, I got the very first call from PBS when I was 18 years old. I'll never forget. It was November. And TJ actually called me because a friend of mine had told me that there was this production company looking for young singers singing the older music. And I had sent a video into TJ's company of me singing. And a couple days after I sent the video, TJ called me. And I picked up the phone and he said, "Hi, this is TJ Lubinsky." And at first it didn't even ring a bell because I wasn't expecting the call. And he invited me to come down to Asbury Park, New Jersey. And I was only 18 at the time. So, of course, I drove down there with my parents because they wouldn't let me drive anywhere more than 10 minutes away from the house alone.
It's a good little guinea parents.
Yes, of course. Italians worry about everything. So my parents came with me. We went to Asbury Park, which was 2 hours from our house in Westchester. And I walked into this theater, and there were cameras all over the place. I had never seen so many cameras in my life. And I really didn't know. I don't know if I wasn't paying attention when TJ was speaking to me or I forgot something, but I didn't know that this was all for a TV PBS special. I thought I was going to sing on a rock and roll show. So I get there and the cameras are all over the place. And I mean, there's hundreds of people directing stuff and doing people's makeups and wardrobes. And so that's what it turned out to be. It was a PBS airing. And I mean, I walked in there. I had no idea what I was doing because I had never sung on a stage before with a live band in my entire life. But I held my head high and pretended like I knew what I was doing. And I got up there on stage and performed with one of my favorite groups of all time, and that was one of the greatest experiences ever. That was me. Yeah. I'll never forget that day for sure. And then fast forward now, a couple months back, we got a call from TJ again. So now I'm 23 years old. So there's a couple of years between the last one. 5 years. I'm not that quick with math. 5 years between the last PBS special, and TJ calls us back to come on PBS again, and I got to sing one of my favorite songs, Unchained Melody, on PBS this time.
Chris, not jumping ahead. I listened to your albums all day. I did. I listened to I listened to 3 of the 4 that are out now, and your version of Unchained Melody. Firstly, to sing that song, you better sing. Secondly, you need a certain type of voice. You need that falsetto voice at the end. The end is so iconic. I watched YouTube video. I went in a rabbit hole. I watched you cook a donut cake. I watched you sing all around the country, and you sing the snot out of that song. Your arrangement and version of it is gorgeous. Gorgeous.
It's certainly one of my favorite songs. And I performed it in Las Vegas not too long ago at one of my shows. And nobody told me. My manager wanted to surprise me, but Bill Medley, one of the Righteous Brothers, was in the audience. So, of course, I was shaking in my boots because I had to sing one of the songs that he produced, in front of him. But I pulled it off, and it was an honor. And Bill is a dear friend, and boy, am I a real fan of everything that they have done over the years.
Amazing. Well, everyone take a moment, stream that song and all of the songs, because it's stunning. So this comes to my question as someone who sings, and I love the art of creating music. And I understand how hard this is. Your job, and tell me I'm wrong, you take these great American songbook and these classic songs from the 50s, 60s, 70s. How do you make it a crisp recording, but keep the integrity of the original? It's not as easy as it sounds.
Well, sure. What we don't want to ever do is take it so out of the original feel that it would offend someone who would hear it.
Absolutely.
But certainly what I do with them is not for the purists, the people who love it the way it was, because it doesn't sound like the way it was originally recorded. But we still keep that feel to it and don't do anything offensive. But we take the recordings. I'll back up a little bit. We fly out to Las Vegas, and we work with one of my favorite entertainers, Clint Holmes, on arrangements for these songs. So we write out all the lyrics on paper, and Clint will ask me, what does the song mean? And sometimes I'll look and I'll say, I have no idea. Well, then that's good, because we'll read it down together, and then I'll understand what the song means. And Clint and my manager will ask, well, how would you speak it? So we'll speak the whole song down first as to how you would have a conversation. And then from there we build, and we'll bring a piano in the room with us, and we'll kind of build on that and start to build the arrangement, which we then take to Charlie Colello, who finishes and puts the magical touches on the arrangements. And Charlie, if that name doesn't ring a bell, Charlie Colello, he arranged so many songs. He's had more hit arrangements than any other arranger. Most of the hits for Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. He arranged for Humperdinck, Sinatra, Lou Christie, Paul Anka, Barbra Streisand. I could go on all day.
Yeah, if you've ever heard Native New Yorker to Sweet Caroline, to all of that is After the Lovin'. That's him.
That is all of Charlie's magic, and Clint has it.
It's amazing, but that's orchestration at its best right there.
Oh, he's amazing.
And Clint Holmes, I mean, if you ever can see Clint he's touring, he's doing a Peter Allen show, Michael Orland's on piano. Yes. You need to go see. He's a master showman.
Oh, and I should be speaking more about Clint, of course, because if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be singing a lot of the songs the way I am, and my album wouldn't have came out the way it did. A lot of that is because of Clint's help and his intuition, because he's a master. He's really probably the greatest entertainer around today.
And what I love about the albums, which, like we said, are available, you can listen to them right now, is that I love some of the mashups and some of the takes you have. I really fell in love with It's Not For Me and to Make You Love Me, and all these great ideas of taking two songs from two different genres, but there's also just straight up classic arrangements of you singing classic songs. So there's a little bit of a mix through all sorts of different genres, generations, and styles of music that all just comes across as this beautiful piece of work.
Yeah, and a lot of my favorite works of music are on the I Am album, because like I said before, it's me. It's what I am. But for those who like songs the way they were, they should totally listen to the Time Was album that I came out with, because that was kind of the closing the chapter of my career of kind of mimicking artists that I loved, singing songs the way they were sung for the most part.
Sure. So, and Quiet Nights is just you and a piano.
And Quiet Nights is just me and a piano, which is funny because over over the lockdown we had, I had done a fundraiser on a Facebook Live for a theater in New Jersey, and it was just me and a piano player, and that was the first time I had ever collaborated with just a piano in any sort of way or in a show. And I happened to really fall in love with it. As much as I love working with giant bands, it's really fun for me to just work with a piano because it's a little more free and I can experiment and do more that I want. So I decided to come out with an album of just my voice and the piano.
I loved it. I really love it. If you have a date, listen, it's the weekend. You have a date night. You're gonna make a plate of pasta. Put the album on.
A bottle of wine and that album, and you're good.
And you're good. All right, so that leads me to, you have a new single that's about to drop. Tell me a little bit. There it is. It's the iconic "Stand By Me," Benny King's classic that's been covered and done. But I hear that this arrangement is pretty great, and I hear that you have a reason why you chose to do this as your next single.
Yeah, well, you know what? I've been performing it in my show for quite a while now, and lots of people have asked for a recording of it, which I didn't have, and I really find it as an inspiring song. I mean, when the night has come and the land is dark and the moon's the only light, you'll see, stand by me. And I think now more than ever, we all need to be there for one another through these crazy times. And I just thought it was the right time to release it. And of course, that's another Charlie Colello arrangement and my interpretation of one of my favorite timeless classics.
And how that it is a classic. Chris, I'm not trying to start a fight with you, but you brought up Frankie Valli, you brought up Frank Sinatra, you brought up Benny King.
Sure.
Jersey. Sorry, Chris. I'm just saying.
I know a lot of good stuff came out of New Jersey, but not to pick a fight, there were a lot of great singers from New York too. I mean, one of my favorite singers of all time, and I don't sing his music in my show for the most part, but he's been a big inspiration in my singing, is Jerry Vale. And he's from the Bronx, New York, which is where my family is from. Okay. And I sing one of his songs in my show, Pretend You Don't See Her, and it's actually on my album. But he was one of the greatest, and he came from New York.
Okay, fair. Jerry Vale is legendary.
And the Belmonts came from New York, of course. A lot of people came from the Bronx. There was a lot of magic in the Bronx.
Absolutely, especially in the Doo Wop and those era, the 50s and 60s.
Oh, for sure.
How did you approach Stand By Me? How did you change it from the original recording? Is there anything that you did to it to make it stand out in a new way?
Well, we started it with just a piano, actually, and my voice. And it's done rubato, they call it. So it's done much slower, and it's kind of like I'm speaking the lyrics. Like I said before, it's how would I tell the story? I'm speaking it. And then the song goes into tempo, and it starts moving quicker, and it gets a bit more exciting towards the end.
I love that. The build. It's got such a great build to it.
It builds, and that's why it's a great closer in my show.
And how do you approach when I come to see a Chris show, when I come to see a Chris Ruggiero show, how do you approach building your show? Is it a through line? Is there momentum that you build? How do you look at a set list every night and try to create the ideal
Sure.
concert?
Well, I don't just sing songs because I like them or sing them to sing them. I sing songs because they're telling a personal story for me. And my whole show is sort of a story about my life, my family, how I got started in singing, the struggles I faced and still face, because we all have struggles, of course. And those are the songs in my show. So there are a couple of songs, of course, that may not tell my story, and they're songs that were really popular that I'll still sing. But for the most part, 70-80% of the show is full of songs that are personal stories. Like I said, songs like Unchained Melody, songs like Betcha by Golly Wow, because it's about falling in love. And I happen to think I'm a romantic person, so I love to sing songs about love. Songs like Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, I tell a story about my prom night. And I actually threw a song into my show, which is one of my favorites now. It's called The Climb, which was originally recorded by Miley Cyrus. And my version is not like that at all. We changed it, another Charlie Colello arrangement, but I'm telling my story through that. And I really think it goes over well. But through my show, you'll laugh, you'll cry, and you'll probably feel inspired by the end, but you'll certainly feel like family before you walk out the doors.
I love that. Chris, I have to come see you. You're always over. I have to come see you. I have to come.
You're in New Jersey still?
I'm in New Jersey still.
Okay. Well, when we come to Jersey, we'll let you know.
Absolutely. I'm there. You have shows. You're touring all over. I know you're in Ohio. You're always in Florida. You're in the North. You're everywhere. Vegas. You're all across the country, and all sorts of. And sometimes you perform with some really iconic acts. You've been on the bill with some really amazing groups.
Oh, sure. Well, you know, half the shows are shows of my own where it's me for 90 minutes. And then the other half of the shows I do we call them multi-act shows. So guys like Jay and the Americans will be on the shows with me, and Gary Puckett and Union Gap, the Grassroots. So many people from the 50s and 60s, and some of my favorite singers for sure.
Amazing. So what is next? Is Stand By Me a part of an album project? Is it a video project? What is gonna, as it's standing alone, what is next for you?
Well, Stand By Me is gonna come out alone, but there'll be another single to follow it. There'll be another single coming out, which is actually an original. It'll be the first original song that was written for me. So I'm excited about that. And then we'll drop little singles here and there all the time, of course, to keep people interested and get my music out, of course. But what I'm really excited about is the Christmas album. Because Christmas is my favorite time of the year. From the time I first learned how to speak until now, Christmas has always meant so much to me. I mean, I grew up, as you know, in an Italian household. And for me, Christmas is not about getting presents, but it's about spending time with family and friends and just all the people I love that maybe I haven't seen all year. So this Christmas album is made up of a lot of songs that I grew up listening to that were playing in my house on Christmas Eve when 60 people from my family were there singing along to it before Santa came down. And so it's going to really mean a lot to me and a lot to the people that listen to it, I hope.
I can't wait. I know that it's coming out later this year. I know you're going on a Christmas tour as well. There's Christmas tour dates.
There are Christmas show dates, and I'm really excited for that.
That is going to be a blast. That is going to be something.
I don't know what I'm going to wear yet for those. I have to find some kind of a Christmas outfit, but I know what I'm going to sing.
Chris, where do you go shopping? You always have I was going to say the new flyest, newest look. Okay, keep your secret.
Because if I tell you where I go shopping, you'll probably be wearing the same clothes tomorrow.
Chris, I'm already, while we were talking, I already stole your whole team, and I'm going to out and buy all your clothes.
Well, if you're a size medium, you can come in my closet anytime you want.
Pre-COVID, I was a medium. Post-COVID, yeah.
Me too. I don't know. There's something between medium and large. I mean, that's probably where I'm getting to now, but it's okay.
Just wait till you're 39. It gets wider.
I'm sure. Then I'll be wearing the Santa suit and everything.
Well, I'm really excited. I like I said, I spent my day. You'll be on repeat in my car and in my headphones and on my phone and where I'm going. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you do what you do live and in person. Your energy and the love and passion you have for the music really it transcends the recording, and it transcends the videos that I get to see of you online. And I can't wait to see that energy in the room in person.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, in every show and every song I sing, I try and use a touch of class, as the entertainers did from the 50s and 60s, from a bygone era, and try and carry the torch of the people that I loved from those times.
And you do, and it shows. So everyone's going to go to Chris Ruggiero Sings. You can, like we said, you can get there's the albums, get the albums, stream the albums, go to the website and find all the information. And here, we'll put it all up there. And Stand By Me also coming out on September 27th to stream or to download. I can't wait to hear this version. I'm excited.
Thank you.
We'll be following you, and thank you. It's only the world is your oyster. 23. My God, this shirt is older than you.
That's held up pretty well.
Continued success. Thank you so much for being here. It means a lot.
Well, thank you very much, Robert, for taking the time. And when we come to New Jersey or near New Jersey, we'll absolutely let you know.
I'm in. I'm ready. How about that? 23. Oh my goodness gracious. Chris Ruggiero is going to be around. So if you see him in your neck of the woods, make sure you stop by. Tell him you saw him on the Roundtable. Every single week, we have a show on the Roundtable. We have the Roundtable Talks and the Roundtable on Thursday nights. Make sure you join us. My name is Robert Bannon. If you want more information about me and catch me when I'm in your neck of the woods, make sure you check out robertbannon.com and make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Tell everybody a little bit about us. We promote art and artists. I hope you had the most amazing time with us. I sure did. And until next time, everybody, take care of yourself. And I will see you real soon. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.